Okay, so we are live now on YouTube, streaming on YouTube. Well done, Neil, you made it, have you?
Just about, yeah.
Just about. Okay, good stuff. So we were on item 32A, and just because we are diligent people, Denise has got another letter come through on that, and so we can continue with that subject if we want to. And the letter, I think, is from our MP.
Yeah, MP Karen Bradley has replied today. She has written, "I can appreciate your concerns, and so whilst you have already taken action to raise these, I would be happy to lend any support I can. If you would like me to make contact with any relevant third parties, I would need the attached consent form completing, but we'll wait to hear what you decide to do, as you may want to see what the council come back with first. Kind regards." Yeah, Right Honourable Karen Bradley.
Okay, so the real point about getting Karen involved isn't for that she isn't really the person who can solve it, but the fact that she's on the being copied in on it means that everybody's aware that she's aware of it, and you know, a clod can land on them if they don't do the job properly, and that's about sums it up. So yeah, we've got her support for it as well, and if we need it, we'll use it. So there's nothing else to report on that. We will get the letters off appropriately, or Denise will. So that's, unless anybody's got anybody else to say about that, we'll move on to the next item, which is correspondence regarding a talking bench idea for the village. So you need to help me with this, Denise, because I don't know what a talking bench is.
Yeah, actually, this was Joe's correspondence. Sorry, I've just put it somewhere ready for the meeting, and just bear with me a moment. I'll just turn screen off. Sorry, I've temporarily misplaced my pile, so I'm really sorry. I tidied up ready for the meeting, and then it's been moved ready for tea, and I just need to find that. Shall I keep my screen off for a second, and you can move on to the next item, and
I think the talking bench is basically a bench strategically located in the village where people go for a chat. So if people get lonely, or people got sort of time on their hands, that people can sit down and have a conversation.
Okay. That's the wall in Brown Edge. Well, that was a lad. Everybody, you sit on the wall. All the old men, you sit across them. In fact, the wall has got a flat top on it. if you look specifically, so the old miners could sit on the wall.
Yeah, I think exactly the same idea, but with the bench. It's quite a national project, from what I can gather. There's quite a few people I spoke to about it.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob. I'm sorry I can't find this at the moment. I've just placed it out of reach.
All right. Well, so we got the idea what it is. So has anybody got any views about it? First off, personally, I think it sounds like a good idea, but where would you put it, and what would it be like, and etc. etc.
I thought Bank End, to be honest, somewhere on that area there, just somewhere local for everybody that's is peace and quiet, and but visible, that if people are sitting there, you can see that they're sitting there.
I think it's got to be. You might get youngsters hanging around on it, though. That's the only problem.
Yeah, that's what you don't need. Yeah.
Okay. Neil?
I mean, I was going to suggest end across edge, but I mean, just for what you say about youngsters using it, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're lonely and you want to sit and have a chat, that's the idea of it.
Yeah, I was meaning if they misused it, that's what if there was somebody wanting to sit on it and have a chat, and you've got a gang of youngsters on there, it'd be a bit intimidating.
Yeah.
You
Adrian?
get that if you've got a bench, no matter where you put it, I guess. But Just as a thought for me, I thought end across edge because people can go in Keith's and have a gander, can't they? It's situated reasonably central and all the rest of it, but not without having to go down the park.
Yep. Adrian?
Yeah, I think it just wants being somewhere where it's in good view, especially following the incident in Endon where the bench has been stolen from where the Queen's Cross sign is as well. So the stone sign and the bench have both gone missing within the last month. So it's just something to be aware of, that if we are going to put it somewhere, it could do with being in decent view, I think, so that it reduces the risk of it disappearing.
Completely unrelated, I've got a bench and a stone for sale if you want to buy them.
Absolutely. Matching pair. Yeah.
So we have had seats in various positions on the village in the past, made out of concrete with what they call like timber across, 3x3 going across, and they've all been smashed. 2 were at cross edge, 2 were in the playing field. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again. In fact, I think we aren't in the same kind of situation as we were then. I think children are a little bit better behaved now, my view. But it just needs to be borne in mind. We also need to think about the offer that we've had for a bench in memory of the lad who died up at up the Vale. So that's still outstanding. We've had a formal request from Phil and Ellen Turner, but they were thinking of wanting one somewhere up on Chapel Lane. Well, there's no site up at Chapel Lane that I can see, having been up there. But that's again as a something that we've got to tackle. Either go back to them and say we can't think of anywhere, or offer them some sites. I think there are sites around. To be honest with you, I think there's by the what we call the Memorial Garden. We could put a bench on there. I think that's a useful location. I think Bank End, where we've just done the flagpole, I think there's nothing amiss with that. It's in view, and yet it's far enough away from houses, I think, to cause any trouble if people start to accumulate around there. There's Marshes Hill. We've already got a couple of benches up on Marshes Hill. We could do that across the level where the bikes were coming down, or the 4x4s were coming down. You can put that at the bottom of there. That'd be a nice spot. So there are places where we could do that. And I think there's nothing wrong with Blooming Cross Edge, to be honest with you now. I think it's a lot different than what it used to be when I was a lad. So, there are places that we could think of doing something. So the question is, do we want to do it? Sorry, Keith. Yeah. Keith? I think Keith's stuck, hasn't he? Yeah.
We've discussed this before in many areas. Am I? Can everyone else hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me? Right. Okay. All right. Well, there's a few things I just wanted to bring into the equation. One is, of course, if we're going to put an orchard everywhere, we don't really want to put benches necessarily next to and under all these orchards, although that might be quite nice. I've thought about it's nice weather to go out. You can go and sit somewhere and maybe someone can come and approach you. There's more people outdoors. There's certain routes that dog walkers go on and things like that. And I just think that could be one element of it. But during the winter, if we're going to need to try and do something like this, and with COVID and being outdoors and everything else, I think we need to or something like that, just so that we know a bit more about it, or something where we can get for winter. Because otherwise people aren't going to go out. I think there's some practical things that we do need to have about before finalising where we can stick it. And I think also, if you know, for the future, going back to the idea of having bus travel and bringing it up again and everything else, but the idea of having covered and having some people naturally, you know,
I can't hear you, Keith. Keith,
do you,
Breaking up.
Keith, we haven't heard anything, any
Sorry?
of that.
oh,
Might be best to turn your
Sorry.
camera off, Keith, and get the bandwidth.
okay, hold on. Hold on. I don't know why. Is it any better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why that is because my children are downstairs. No, I was just thinking that there's other things that we need to look at over the next few years, like bus stops and things like that as well, and links to others. So I hope some of those comments make sense. But we've got to try and think of different these things in summer, in the winter as well. So that was all. Cheers.
Okay. Anybody got any views
you
what
hear
we
that?
should do here? Yeah, we should
Yeah,
hear that,
thank you.
Keith. Yeah, thank you. Has anybody else got any views what we should do with this?
I mean, Joe's
Well,
obviously the forefront of it. So if we liaise with Joe and all come up with some 3 or 4 sites and vote on a site basically for next meeting, that'd be my suggestion.
Are we
Yeah.
limited to one?
Well, potentially if we've got a bench being donated, then potentially you could do 2, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You could have one on Half Moon and have one wherever. I mean, I still say Cross Edge because it's all right, you know. But
You've got both sides of the village then, haven't you? Yeah, yeah.
You could. I mean, like we said before, you can stick half a dozen around the village, and there's always somewhere you can sit and have a sit down. But how far you prepared to take it? Regarding what you said, Pete, about them being, you know, vandalised or whatever in the past, I think if you have a metal one, you know, they're less likely to be nicked unless the scrap man's after them, and they're not going to be easily destroyed.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it might not fit in with, you know, Half Moon or something like that, but
Right. I think I think I'll go Cross Edge and have a look, see where there is up there. Because actually there's a little bit in there where that path goes down back of Marshall Avenue, that there. I think there's a good spot there for that.
where I was thinking is where Linda done all that work at the front with the flower bed facing the facing
Okay.
where the new houses are going.
So so again, I think this is interesting really, because at the bottom there, the wall there needs building up in stone and a seat putting in front of it. So if you go have a look, you'll see what I mean. Like where you come down Piggy Lane, it's the wall there needs to curve round and support the grass, which will leave an area which could be cobbled and a nice seat put on there.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
they need to look at that really and come up with some kind of idea, I think. But I think that's the best place there. And we could then build it out of stone and put, you know, steel slats across, and it would look good.
It's got potential. That area has to be
It has, hasn't it?
something
Yeah.
quite unique, like we've got with the flagpole on the moon.
That's
You know,
right.
You can create something very, very nice
right.
there and unique.
Exactly. Right. Let me have a think about that, and I'll have a word with Phil. I think Phil Hargreaves. I think he's the bloke to talk to about that. Okay. Yeah, we're okay with that, and then we'll come back to a meeting. I don't think it'll be next meeting because we've got a lot of stuff coming in the next meeting. I don't want to, ram that down, but we'll bring that forward at the next meeting, but one, I think, if we can. Resident request for permission to use the playing field for a fundraising event for Brown Edge Football Club.
Do you want me to read this out?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So this is from Tina Holcroft. I am writing to ask permission for the use of Brown Edge playing fields on Sunday, the 19th of September 2021, please. The Carnival Committee have very kindly offered to let me borrow their marquee so I can arrange a fundraising event to raise funds for Brown Edge Football Club. The theme of the fundraising is a bake-off, This was very successful when I arranged one a few years ago, and our village neighbours really enjoyed supporting it. Kindest regards, Tina Holcroft.
Okay, just a bit of a background. She asked the village hall if we were available. And we said we couldn't guarantee that at that point because we didn't know what the roadmap was out of the, and we still can't guarantee it, to be honest with you, because who knows what's going to happen. So that's just a bit of the background really for it. Neil.
I think I've got declaring interest in this one, Peter. I can't say anything on this.
Okay. Anybody else? Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic idea to begin with. Just from an insurance point of view, are we covering the event, or would they cover the event, or how would it work on that score? I know Carnival provide their own insurance, but would it? That's my only sticking point.
I did notice that on the insurance cover last night for events that we hold, public liability, they're insured for that. We wouldn't be insured for any loss of profits or anything like that, of course. But I think that's just something we need to just talk to Tina about. I don't think you should be expecting us to.
No, that's my only concern is obviously if somebody, and obviously the COVID side of it as well,
Right,
from
now,
insurance perspective. But
yeah, the COVID thing is quite interesting because I looked at the insurance for COVID, and we don't have to worry about any. We don't have to worry. That's the wrong thing to say. But from a parish council insurance point of view, we don't have to worry about people catching COVID or anything like that. But if somebody claimed against us, we would be covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so don't have to worry from that point of view. We haven't got to worry about it.
Yep.
But Tina's got to take steps. We'd have to take steps to make sure the event was held in a COVID secure way. It's her responsibility to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's a great idea. I don't see there's any reason to block it at all. I think it's a great idea, but it's great for the village, especially at that time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, of course, it is. I think we can't have any objections to this, surely. It's what we're about, isn't it?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so I think we write to it and say, crack on, you know, or bacon on or whatever. Yeah. Okay, we're all in favour of that, I'm sure, aren't we? Yeah, just showing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So next item is correspondence regarding Marshes Hill access for horse riders. Denise, you muted.
Yeah, I'll unmute myself. With my losing my pile at the my pile of paperwork has just gone astray. I'm just going to bring that second email up.
Is it not a district issue, this?
Well, the letter's written to us, so we need to hear what it says first, Rob, but I think the outcome will be that, yes.
Okay, so it says, she's written to Joe, so it's, hello Joe, I am one of many horse riders in Brown Edge area and want to respond to a comment made by a resident after the parish council meeting, not wanting horses to hack across the top of Marshes Hill. I am unsure why this person is so anti-horse. When he walks his dogs, even when he is nowhere near, he shouts abuse, telling me to get that horse off when riding across the top of the main path. When I've asked to have a civil conversation with him, he refuses and continues shouting abuse. I do not know anyone else who has a problem with a passing horse. I chat to everyone I meet and I show consideration, standing to the side if a larger group of walkers or dogs pass by. Horse riders have very little safe off-road riding area, and Marshes Hill is a tiny bit of respite from increasingly busy and fast roads. I myself have ridden across there for over 40 years. When Hobbs House down the road was a riding school in the 1980s, there was probably more horse riders than walkers using it. 9 years ago, a sign appeared out of the blue blocking horses' access over Marshes Hill. This was promptly checked, and then the British Horse Society bridleways officer, who deemed the sign unlawful, and riders were told to ignore it. And since then, they've carried on. So we have lost a lot of off-road riding over the years due to paths being downgraded or gates installed to stop motorbikes, which then impacts horse riders. We have only recently obtained access again to Chatley Whitfield after years of being blocked by a gate off Tong Lane to stop motorbikes. Only successful due to efforts of local horse riders in providing user evidence forms, but this injustice took years to put right. It is an uphill battle to stay safe and enjoy our hobby, so remarks from this resident really frustrate us, especially when walkers have thousands of miles in any direction to access compared to us. I just want to make you aware that anti-horse comments worry us. Often due to ignorance, people wonder why we ride on the roads, believing we can open any farmer's gate and just ride in there. This is, of course, not true and would be trespassing. We have a right to ride on the road, as scary as it is. It would be my dream to have access to closer off-road riding, but for now, the 5-minute stroll over Marshes Hill will do. So please support our right and not let this bully stop us. I think it's wrong that one type of user have more rights over another. Why can't we respect each other and share our open spaces? This lady has given her name and an address. I don't know if you want me to disclose that, but
that's not relevant, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an interesting one. I think Neil.
I think it's brilliant what she's just said. I don't ride horses myself, so I've got no personal interest in them. But she's bang on what she said. And the trouble with Brown Edge, as with everywhere, is if you're not into it yourself, everything's a problem. And like she says, horse riders have got to go somewhere, and they are causing no problem other than eroding the landscape, as we got into. But what doesn't erode the landscape? People walking on there erode it, mountain bikers erode it, and they have all got to go somewhere. The land's there to be used by everybody and not just dog walkers and doggers. So Marshes Hill's, there for us all, basically. I haven't got a horse, I haven't got a dog, but I haven't got a bike, but I go on it.
So I think there's several issues here. It's not as straightforward as people might think. The actual bridleway doesn't run over Marshes Hill. The bridleway is the old road that runs at the back, which has got a fence to stop people going down the man's drive now. Got a gate across. That's the old bridleway that exists. The question about going over Marshes Hill, I don't think a horse rider has got the right to go over Marshes Hill. Well, that isn't for us to enforce for or against. That's the district council's job to do that. And they're the people who manage the land, and they're the people who should be, deciding where people should be, how they should be using, not deciding, they should be implementing the decisions of who and what should be used on Marshes Hill. That's their job. So my view, and it's interesting talking to Keith earlier on, but talking to a gentleman earlier on, where lots of footpaths are having a section 63 or something put on them to upgrade them to bridleways. And that's causing a lot of people to say they don't want that. But personally, I think that would be the great thing on Brown Edge, to have a proper bridle track all around the village. So, I think this is not just an issue about people riding over Marshes Hill or not, and certainly not an issue just about a gentleman shouting at somebody and abusing. That's a separate thing as well. That's a police offence, isn't it? So the police should be informed about that. But I think it's not just a simple thing, I think it's a wider issue of how can we make it so that everybody's got access, as Neil says, to land to benefit the whole community. And I think that's the key thing for me is, you know, she's got nowhere else to go that's safe on the village. And that's terrible. So we need to find ways that perhaps Marshes Hill isn't the most ideal, and perhaps she legally can't or can. I'm not even bothered about that really, but we should be finding other space, other ways for them to be able to access our village, our community. And I think that will mean us looking at whatever it is they have to do, as Keith was quiet about this afternoon, I noticed. But finding a way in which we can get access for bridleways to reopen. And I think Adrian's done some work on that with the footpaths to identify that. And, you know, we ought to be helping this person to get access into the countryside safely.
I'll come back in when Adrian said his
Adrian.
I think it does go back to the wider agenda, and it is important. I mean, as the summer comes again, we're going to have young people in the village on mountain bikes with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
The nearest proper legitimate mountain biking facility now is at the Congleton Cloud, where there's been a lot of work done. But if you look at a lot of young people travelling, that's too far. There is some bridleways, and I'm happy, Denise, to touch base with the lady concerned about that, sort of showing her where some of these bridleways are now as well, because over the last few months I've been actively trying to find them. So there is more stuff, but there is work that needs to be done. But I don't think the Marshes Hill problem will go away until we actually do something with it, Peter, and around sort of Tinsters Wood area as well. We need to get a proper shared access path, and cyclists quite a lot of the time, if you look at the Peak District, do share quite happily with walkers, horse riders, and there's a big campaign at the moment out there which has got lots of stickers that have got all three of them in a picture, and it says just say hello, be nice, you know, and everybody can coexist together and everybody can help to maintain them, but we need to do it in the right way. But it shouldn't just be restricted to walkers. We need access for both cyclists, horse riders, and everyone should be able to enjoy it together.
Well, okay, I understand that, Adrian, but the primary thing is it's a nature reserve.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, and whatever we do has to make sure that we preserve that. Now, I think it's a little bit difficult for the Moorlands at the moment because they are right in the middle of the process of transferring this over to Staffordshire Wildlife.
Yeah.
I think when Staffordshire Wildlife take on responsibility for it, that's where we need to start to engage with them to make sure that we've got routes over there that doesn't impact upon wildlife, and we can say this is an acceptable route.
And you certainly wouldn't go over the top, Peter. I mean, if you look at the whole place, you know, even if you were just alongside the road, you know, a piece of trackway that was done alongside the actual road itself would be ideal for horses, cyclists, without affecting any of that natural habitat across the top.
Yeah. Well, I think this is what we need. We need to get a proper management for it, don't we? So we got access for everybody, and you know, we're happy. I did note coming back today, it's in desperate need of I shan't say this really, but it's in desperate need of a fire.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely dreadful, the height of the blooming gorse and that. It's not been managed.
But that's the thing. If you've got a group of people managing it, then you could put a trail in, they'd maintain it, hopefully, and everyone could use it.
Yeah.
You could collectively have people from different groups, should we say, you know, horse riders, cyclists.
Yeah, they'd help, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
probably not in with the dogs because he's more likely to have a go at you. But other than that, you get people all in the same boat.
Yeah. So I think as soon as it's transferred over to the Staffordshire Wildlife, which I understand is kind of happening right now, I think we should look to engage with them about this.
Imminent.
Yeah. We should look to engage with them, and then we can respond appropriately. But as far as the lady's concerned, I think we ought to say to her, respond back to her and say, look, we totally understand what your situation. We're very sensitive towards that. We want to make more access, not just over Marshes Hill for horse riders. And, you know, we've taken steps to identify areas that we could change into a bridleway or to make sure there's access for riders. And, you know, we'd like to engage with you to see how you feel about that. And I think that's what we need to do.
If you did want to pass on her details,
Can
though,
I-
Denise, that there is a lot of stuff, Peter,
Yeah.
out towards Last Edge that I found
Yeah.
over the last 12 months that is legitimate bridleway that could help them get off the main roads and lanes.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe just some sort of sitting down with a map and running through it with them might help as well.
Yeah. Okay. So are we okay with that, Denise? Can we write back to her and just
Step in there for
express our opinions? Sorry, Keith.
Peter?
Cutting
Yes,
out
I'll
again.
do that, Peter. Thanks.
Keith, you like got a heck of a delay on, and then you suddenly
Yeah,
cuts out.
not again.
Yeah.
I'll take me. Hold on. Let me just. I've been trying. Is that any better?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
No. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Right. Right. Well, the guy you met today was Andrew Batson. He's the chair of the Bagnall Parish
Yeah.
Council. And this has been a bone in their side, or an issue in a bone of contention in their side for 3 years or more. They tried to resolve it themselves directly with the SCC, and they tried to fight. There's 3 applications in at the moment, if you like, which is the legal process. And I think that the answer overall is that we do need to have multiple use tracks, as we discussed, you know, on numerous occasions, and some sort of green cross code type thing, you know. So we'll have to just see how that goes. But I do think there's an awful lot more to this than meets the eye. The idea of these bridleways all over the place is that they're trying to force footpaths into bridleways, or re-establishing bridleways that have overgrown. And there's a bridleway association and everything else, which is trying to do it. There's lots of horse riders over in Bagnall and horse ownership. So I do think that's something that you and Andrew and perhaps Adrian and a few others might just want to get together and have a quick look at that. That's something I've been working on and off, if you like, for about 2.5 years. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
makes
not
sense
easy.
to me. Makes sense
That's
to
all.
me, but
It's not
makes
easy.
sense to me to get horses using the tracks all around the blooming village, all around the area. It makes a lot of sense to me, especially when it used to be that.
It does.
You know, a lot of these,
Yeah.
lot of them.
Well,
were
and it
bridleways.
opens it up for all activities and for children and for people that want to take exercise. And you know,
Exactly.
there's an outdoor gym that's there that's waiting for everybody. You
Absolutely.
know, and you know, but it's getting the agreement of landowners, and there's always going to be people, as we've already heard about, you know, being abusive towards various people that might want to have access where other people think they shouldn't have. You know,
Yeah.
it's quite sad in some respects, but anyway. So if you like, I'll try and arrange a meeting depending on what happens this evening or tomorrow or Saturday or whenever it is that we're meant to
And
be
you get
doing
results on Saturday. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, enough said. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for that. So we'll get in contact then, Denise, with the person and express our views to her. Yeah, which I think you've captured there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. We've got no items on notice. And items for the attention of other local authorities. Have we got anything for the district council that we want to raise? No. Anything for the county council? No. Okay. So the next item is planning applications and related issues. Appendix 14 is Mr. and Mrs. Phillips from Avemont, Wilfield Lane, Brown Edge. So the interesting thing is when I looked at this, I thought, blimey, that looks strange. That doesn't look like Avemont. And I've done that. There are in fact 2 Avemonts in Wilfield Lane. One is just opposite in the new development on at the top of Meadow Road. And the other one is the very tall building right on the end of Wilfield Lane, just as you turn right to go down into to Edge Fields. Or Ball Lane, should I say.
Lane, yeah.
And that's what the one we're talking about.
Yes.
The one on the edge of Ball Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've all had a sight of these plans, and have we got any views?
Yeah, I've got a view.
Go on then.
He said it's just for a sitting room, yet it's got a kitchen and a bedroom and all sorts.
Yeah. Says proposed conversion of existing garage to form annex and extension to main dwelling to form a sitting room.
It's got a kitchen, room, bedroom.
Peter, sorry to disturb. It's just I'm on the planning committee.
Yes, I
don't.
know.
Is there many other items? Because
No,
I don't mind this.
that's it.
Is it just okay? Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not listening to this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, no worries. Okay. Anybody else got any comments or views? Any proposals?
No comment from me.
Yeah, I'll second Neil. To be fair, I can't see an issue with it.
Is it going to disturb anybody? I don't think it is. Is it going to affect anybody? I don't think it is it? Have they got plenty of space? Yeah.
Yeah, they're not changing the footprint, are they?
No.
The only issue you could raise is the garage is not going to be a garage, is it? Is that, am I reading that right?
You're reading that right, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the cars aren't in the garage, but most people don't keep cars in the garage anyway nowadays, do they? So no, I don't see an issue at all.
They've got plenty of ground around it anyway for cars.
They have, haven't they? They have. Okay, so are we going to our view then is we got no objections? Is that the summary of it?
Yeah.
I'll propose it if you like. No objection.
I'll second it.
Okay, no objections then. Okay. And the next item on the agenda is a mistake by the district council. Jenny has declared an interest in it, but the issue is it's just a mistake by the district council. We should not even be considering this at all. This has got planning permission for it, and that's it. So it's a mistake.
So we don't need to
discuss it. Nothing to discuss. Okay, next item is item 36, matters pertaining to issues in the parish for the next agenda. Have we got anything that we want to put on the agenda for next month? There will be an item about rats next month. Just so you're aware, a member of the public has written in to say there's rats on the well down at Sitch Road. I'm not bringing to the attention of the council. We've already taken action to inform the district council about that, and they will come and deal with the situation.
2 or 4-legged ones.
Well, probably 4, I would have thought.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
Should we be looking, or I don't know if there's anything we can do about the gentleman that keeps turning up at the village hall, the homeless chap?
right.
I mean, the help, I mean, should we be liaisoning with somebody to?
We're already doing that. This is a really complex, which I don't want to go into the details tonight. Public, it's private information really, but it's an extremely complex thing. He comes home as he sees it because that's where he's happiest, and he has got accommodation to go to. He though feels that it's safer here in Brownedge.
It's so sad. I mean, it really is.
It
sad.
is extraordinarily
really
sad.
feel for him. It just worries me. It's close proximity to the school.
Yeah, the police are aware of that, Jenny, and
That's
the police are aware of that, and the kindness that people on Brownedge show him, and it's massive. It's amazing kindness.
It's amazing.
But in a way, that's making the problem worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so so I don't want to go into the details about it, but the police are aware, and
Just wondering if we could help in any way to, but obviously if he keeps coming back and he has got somewhere to go, well, nothing we can do, is there?
There are two things that I see wrong with this. And you talk, the Stoke-on-Trent Authority are well aware of him and his situation. And when it first came about, I contacted the Moorlands, which then went on to the High Peak, and we found accommodation for him for a weekend. We found out later, he'd already got accommodation in Stoke, but we found accommodation for him for the weekend. It was absolutely freezing cold. Moorlands paid for it. And then on the Monday, I got a right ticking off from the Moorlands because apparently the law is that I have to deal with Stoke-on-Trent. If I'm ringing up, I have to deal with Stoke-on-Trent because Stoke-on-Trent are the people who are responsible for him. So that's where he normally goes. And I got to be honest, I give a fair bit of kickback really, because that's, how do I know that? He's in Brown Edge. He's in the Moorlands.
Yeah.
It's a Moorlands problem. It's not Stoke-on-Trent's problem. It's a Moorlands problem. Oh, this woman fell out with me, something rotten. And I said, look, I don't really care. Just, go and do your job kind of thing was my end of conversation. So anyway, this time he's been back again, as you know. And so I got in touch with Stoke. I got flipping nowhere with them. Oh, he's in the Moorlands. You have to speak to the Moorlands. Okay, so I'm thinking there's something not right here. And we need to talk to the district councillors and Stoke-on-Trent and get this. What do we do? What do we do? And in the end, anyway, I've got in touch with the police and because I'm concerned about his safety. He is, how can I say
vulnerable,
this?
isn't he?
I don't want to be, he's a sensitive chap. That's all best way. And if he's that's all I want to say about it. He's a sensitive chap is the best way I'll describe it really. And as far as I'm concerned, because I've known him most of my life, as far as I'm concerned, he's a good guy and no harm to anybody. That doesn't mean to say that's only how I know. There's other people who might know him differently, but that's how I know him. And what he really needs, and this is something that we may want to talk about in the future, Jenny, what he really needs is somewhere local.
Yeah.
This guy does not need to be going into Stoke-on-Trent where there's drug abusers and all that kind of stuff, stealing his stuff and making his life hell, bullying him.
Yeah.
That which is what's happening here. He needs to be here. He needs to be home. That's how I feel now. And that isn't on the front of the car park or in the village hall or in the churchyard.
No, it needs some secure, proper accommodation, doesn't it?
Yeah. And this is where I think things are changing and for the better. And, perhaps communities in the future will have more ability to deal with things like this. And I hope that's the case, because I do feel when he goes, every time we're letting him down. That's how I feel. Because he's just getting back into this situation where he doesn't want to be. And anyway,
it must be terrible for him. Must be terrible.
Yeah, I think it is.
Peter?
Yes, Keith.
Is this I'm not sure myself. I've just seen there's a certain chap that just keeps walking past and around me when I've been out doing work in doing leafleting. Is that the chap you're on about?
No, there's several of them on the village. No, they're okay.
I was just.
They've all got somewhere to go to, Keith.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's one of them in particular which always seems to walk down the middle of the road and down Willfield Lane and places like that, where there's no pavements and everything. No. And I just get concerned about them. But he seems to know. He seems to always he knows where he's going and he knows what he wants to do, and he speaks very kindly to you and everything else.
He's a different chap. He's got somewhere on the village to stay.
But I'm always concerned. I've had this with another lady that was, in fact, an ex one of our colleagues years ago when I first became a politician, and that was a far more serious problem because she started walking at night without any high vis on and things like that, and had to be locked away in the end and unfortunately died. But as I say, I'm just concerned that it seems to be is it a trait of people in Brown Edge, or is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it's bred into us, Keith.
Right. Okay.
It's called
I shouldn't
traipsing.
laugh,
It's called
you know.
traipsing around the village.
Right. Well, I feel like I'm almost joined the club, you know,
Yeah.
over the last 12 weeks or so.
Yeah.
It's
Brown
Some of
Edge
us-
Wanderers.
whether I just notice them or whether they just know I'm there and then they
Yeah.
come and walk with me and stuff. It's
Like
very
stray
odd.
dogs.
You could come up at night. We all throw rocks at the moon.
But I'm glad that none of them have come to any harm. That's good. And they keep fit and healthy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Blimey. They work quicker than me. Anyway,
Yeah. So anyway,
thanks.
so I think this is an issue I think that we need to think about.
Yeah.
It's outside our remit,
Yeah.
without a shadow of a doubt.
And it's got to be done sensitively, hasn't it? Really,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So I don't know how we deal with it. It's just that you all ought to know that things are happening all the time. As soon as he appears, things get start, and you know it's the official
Yeah.
wheels sometimes don't
It's
work
just
exactly
be-
right.
Yeah, just be awful if anybody follows him for God's, and does something awful to him, which I mean, you just don't want that to happen at all.
He's a very gentle guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I think that's. I don't know how we deal with that, Jenny. Really, going forward, but I think it's a. I think we should put it. I think we should put it on the agenda at some point. To be perfectly truthful, I think we should put it on the agenda and engage with other, with Stoke-on-Trent Council and with the Moorlands Council to see what's the best route to help people, not just this individual, other people that will, will come to the surface. Yes, Sarah.
I was just going to say that I think we should put it on the agenda, because if we don't, it's almost bad, isn't it? It's almost like saying we don't care. So I think we should. I'm happy to volunteer to look into things for the next meeting if you'd like me to.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be great if you could. And we obviously can't look into this individual case. This is just an example because there's things happening, with him.
Yeah, just basically, what do we do in this situation? Because there must be something, and if there's not,
I mean, it could happen to anybody, couldn't it? Could happen to anybody who found themselves homeless and feel that.
There's got to be something that we can do, because if there isn't, then there's a problem, isn't there? So,
or at least we need to be aware of the process to follow in the situation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, well, because I think the thing is that it doesn't work at the moment for us on Brown Edge. When it's somebody's been cared for by Stoke-on-Trent, it doesn't work.
You just don't know who to approach to get him help, do you?
Yeah. Well, I do know who to approach if it's a Moorlands issue, and that they were very good. They helped him tremendous. It's literally within half an hour.
Yeah,
Within half an hour. It was brilliant, to tell you. And but the Stoke-on-Trent situation, I don't know. Anyway, we'll have to deal with it, and we'll do that. So we're all okay then in taking that route, and we'll ask Sarah to dig into this a bit more and see what we can come back with.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that that's on the agenda for next month, because I think it is an important thing. So just be aware that he has left Brown Edge, but I do notice that the little tent that he's tucked away at the back.
To the side.
So he's coming back. But that worries me because, before long, if you're thinking of being outside the village hall, well, we aren't going to be selling many weddings at the village hall if we've got a homeless person living outside.
No, that's true.
Is he classed as homeless? Has he got somewhere to go? Or is he just classed as a vagrant?
Well, vagrancy is illegal. Okay, which I had to remind the police of the other day. That vagrancy is a criminal offence. So,
because if he has somewhere to go and he's choosing to go on the village hall, it's no different than me going and sleeping on the steps.
Yeah, that's what vagrancy is.
Yeah. If you're choosing to do that, then he's making a conscious choice.
Yeah, it's just that, just how conscious that is, Neil, isn't it? Really, if you were doing that, then we'd know you were making a conscious choice about that.
Yeah.
This person may not well be thinking things through properly. Let's put it like that, eh?
I don't know him as well as you, Pete.
Yeah.
I don't know. So.
Yeah. So
No.
I don't think many people would choose to go and sleep out in this weather as it's been lately.
No.
And they've got a warm place to go to. That doesn't sound to me like a proper choice is being made there. And a normal person wouldn't make that choice unless where they were was more dangerous than being out on the and uncomfortable than being out on the street in the freezing cold wet weather. So, I'm sure you would make the right decision there, Neil, but this person seems not to be making a normal rational decision.
No, I get
The
you.
question is, I'm not sure why that is. I think I know why, but I'm not an expert in that field as other people who are. So, but we have found him anyway. But main point is, we have found him accommodation on 3 occasions now. And when it's weekends, it's much more difficult. On bank holidays, which is when he appears, it's much more difficult to get help quickly for him.
Does he go work?
No. Not at the moment, although he is on the dole now. So,
So we must have an address then.
Yeah, which one?
Village Hall.
Which one? I'm glad the Village Hall hasn't got a postcode. That's anything. Okay, no worries. All right. So, any other matters that we want to put on the agenda for next month? No. Okay. And then I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for two nights. We got through it all a lot quicker actually than I thought we would. So we nearly got through it last night, to be honest with you, but I got so dark in here I couldn't read what was on my notes and I couldn't put the lights on.
Adrian, can I just ask you what's on the agenda next Thursday?
Well, to be honest with you, it's just running through with Denise making the application.
What application?